The Mad Max series is back on the big screen by George Miller with a spin-off prequel, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga starring Anya Taylor-Joy and Chris Hemsworth. But not only we're talking this movie, we're going to be talking its box office disastery of Memorial Day weekend. Let's jump to everything here on this podcast.
I scream, you scream for movies, and that's the way we do it.
What is good, movie fans? Welcome to I Screened, You Scream For, number 4 for movies. I'm Danny Escamlaji. Before we get started on this podcast, subscribe to whatever you're listening on. Even if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe there as well. And follow my social media platforms, and they'll both be in the show notes and description below for Twitter and TikTok. They'll both be there for more content to come. But ladies and gentlemen, Memorial Day, happy Memorial Day. We're recording this and dropping on the day of Memorial Day, but another exciting film coming out. Blockbuster doesn't get better than this, but this time, this is the first time I'm seeing one of those films, of course, but courtesy of George Miller. The Mad Max series returns on the big screen since 2015, and for this type of episode, I couldn't do this alone. Had to bring in another newcomer and guest. So this is a YouTuber who does movie reviews on his YouTube channel, Joshua Titan, or Josh for short. So Josh, thanks for joining in the spot today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to talk about Furiosa. I loved it so much.
Man, me too. I love it very much, is what I anticipated, and it's one of my top 10 most anticipated movies too, because I'm also just like you, I'm a huge Anya Taylor-Joy fan, and I
Yes, sir.
never stop binge looking every time. I just love everything about Anya Taylor-Joy so much. So it's great that her movie just finally came out, and this will be where we're. And also, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk a little statistic bad news, but this is going to be a review, box office, and sometimes I cover box office, but this is like a emergency. I want to put this out. So if you guys don't care about box office, which I think you're crazy if you're going to just only listen to review and not listen to what the box office is going on, I highly suggest just staying, listening, or watching, and you'll get to hear a lot of bad feed news. So, all right, but let's go ahead and start to jump on Furiosa. So, Josh, you're the guest. What did you think of this film in quick thoughts?
My quick thoughts on Furiosa. I absolutely loved it. As you said, it was in my top 10 most anticipated movies of the year, and thankfully, it didn't get delayed like some other movies. Rest in peace to Mickey 17. So excited for that one. But yeah, this one kind of just hyped me up, just like Dune, because I guess I'm just really loving the color orange in like the desert, because that's what this movie is. George Miller, this man, he's 79 years old. He's still coming out making these blockbusters, making these insane action movies. And it's a Furiosa origin story, which some people might not like, but I was all in for it because she was just an MVP of Fury Road. And it kind of, as I said in one of my reviews, it kind of felt like an Odyssey, kind of felt like George Miller was adapting this long book, like a 600-page book, because he has those 5 different chapters in the movie, and you get to see Furiosa grow up in front of your eyes, get to see her become who she was born to be, and there's so many great action sequences in here. I was just blown away, and as I said, loved it so much, but there's just so much, there's so much discourse around this film, like the CGI and all that, but still, the CGI worked for me a lot. I think that was a stylistic choice that George Miller went through, but overall, short thoughts, I thought it was just amazing. It's a visual feast. It's almost an action masterpiece for me.
I love it. For me, it's got to be one of my top 5s of the year. I loved it very much to how much I expect a Mad Max to be. And this is my first time watching. And believe me, I did watch Fury Road after I got home from seeing Furiosa. But before we compare it to Fury Road, I love Furiosa so much. It's a solid blockbuster. But it's not as like Dune, though, because obviously Dune's like my favorite, obviously, for many reasons. But like you said, it is a odyssey of a character-driven story of this character from Fury Road, which no one ever growed up to, or no one really bothers to go into, because we don't see this character often. But then I think it's a nice touch to what George Miller is doing, and I'm guessing he lit up the sequels because of the Oscars from Fury Road, which I kind of read, if I'm not mistaken. It's got like good Oscars for sure from Fury Road.
Yeah,
So I
Fury
expect
Road,
the
I think,
same.
had six Oscars.
Yeah, 6 Oscars like Dune Part 1. So, but a feastful blockbuster. I gotta say, top 5 for sure. And George Miller does it for sure. And by the way, does it give you the hype vibes of Hideo Kojima? Because he does collab with him a lot. Because
The-
I get a
It
sense of him a lot between these two.
I do see that, and I was just following him on Twitter about how much he just loved this film, and I always love seeing his reactions because when he's watching a movie, he either comes out saying something about the movie or saying nothing about the movie, and you can just tell by his tweets. Did he actually like the movie? And when he went to Furiosa, he actually, got a lot of like paragraphs about this movie. Got to talk to George Miller. Was at the premiere. Like he's been selling this movie a lot, and I thought that following him is one of the best journeys about this movie. He got me more excited to see it. So yeah, I really do think that he has a big part to play in this movie and kind of him and George Miller's relationship, which is awesome to see.
I love it. I want to see them collab together in a future
Truly.
project, if anything. Whatever it's a video game, I'm still in, But besides, George Miller's in Death Stranding too.
I've never
So-
played Death Stranding, but
this is exciting though, because I almost didn't realize it was him in the game. I'm like, oh wow,
Really?
he is in the game. Yeah,
because
So
I know
when
he
the-
puts a lot of celebrities in his games. I didn't know George Miller was in there though.
he's Kojima collabs so much, and I'm so certain George Miller does the same. We've seen him do that with like Tom Hardy, Charlize Theron, and now he collabed with Anya Taylor-Joy, Chris
Mhm.
Hemsworth. I'm sure he's gonna do more stuff and collabs in the future, as much as Kojima does. But we'll see
Yeah.
where he lies to next. But yeah, Furiosa, definitely. I enjoy this film so much. Incredible. The action sequences was awesome.
We got to
But
talk about
they're
those.
not as like entertaining as Fury Road. Let me just compare
Yeah.
this. But it's still fun though, for sure.
Do you
Um,
got a favorite action sequence in Furiosa?
Oh, I think the part where the Tower of the Wasteland or something. Oh, not the tower. Like
the
the
bullet
gas
farm.
the bullet farm. Yeah,
Bullet
I
farm
think
scene?
that bullet farm is really good. Yeah.
The
I
stuff on
do
Fury
love
Road
that.
was kind of my favorite, but that bullet farm fight and then the whole like fifth chapter. Oh, the fifth chapter, I was
The fifth
totally reined in.
chapter. I was my body to that fifth chapter, because there's like 5 chapters of this movie, and
Mhm.
you may never know what we're talking about here, but there's 5 chapters in Furiosa, and the fifth chapter it looked like was so good.
And it felt
It's-
the fifth chapter really did feel like Fury Road compared to the rest of Furiosa. As we said, they don't really feel the same a lot, but the fifth chapter did feel more like Fury Road.
Oh yeah, totally. Let's bring up the incredible performances. Now, unfortunately, we don't get much dialogue from Furiosa herself. I'm not sure why. That's my minor issue. I heard. I'm like, it's not that bad. I mean, it's not that worst. Less dialogue of having less dialogue. It is, but I mean,
I'd probably
body
say,
language. Oh, go ahead.
I'd probably say that maybe less dialogue from Furiosa because of all the trauma she dealt with as a kid, and because of course she's trying to like hide her
You're
identity
right.
throughout the movie.
You're right. So, that's one way to put it. Her body language says it all. So, I mean, you'll get to see a lot of this when you watch Furiosa. But Anya Taylor-Joy, regardless,
Nice.
slays. And by the way, she's my wifey too. I'm just letting you know right now.
You stole it. You stole it from me. Can't believe it.
We'll be fighting him. We'll be fighting each other for every time. But you know what?
That's what I'm talking about.
But yeah, what did you think of her in this movie?
I think that she really does bring in a powerhouse of her performance in any movie that she's in. Like, I gotta say, talking about her movies, I enjoy most of them. I don't think the only really bad one for me is Amsterdam, but I've seen all the other ones, like what she did with The Menu, The Northman, Super Mario Bros. It was fine, but she really does sell her performances in stuff like The Queen's Gambit. Such a great performance there. Like, she was amazing here. Her eyes sell all of her emotion, and really her stature. I think that her stature was great in this movie. She was doing great interaction sequences, and I even saw like on YouTube during a press tour, like after that big one of the big action sequences that took over 70 days to film, she gave out roses to every single cast member, every single crew member. So she's really a fantastic actress that's probably nice on set to everyone, and I really do enjoy her. Like, she just kills the role. And some people, like, she even said that some people made fun of her eyes when she was in school, but her eyes sell more emotion than maybe
Her eyes
90% of the actors working today.
Exactly. I mean, these people just have no clue, but having these eyes, like what Anya Taylor-Joy went through, is a one way to sell what she's going through and like that, So
Agree.
she's solid. She's solid in this movie. She's credible. I mean,
Mhm.
man, there's just so much are hard to talking about, but man, I loved her in this movie. And now I can't say that one of these, either her or Charlize Theron, does better with Furiosa, but this is the younger Furiosa it's going to
Yeah.
center in. And Ayla Brown, we'll also get to see her
Wow.
as Maria in and Sonic the Hedgehog 3. As
Really?
Yeah, you not heard?
I did not know.
Wow.
I
And
don't even know
when I
who.
seen her name, in Sonic 3's credits, I'm like,
I'm gonna be
oh
like,
my
I'm gonna be
God.
thinking of you when I see that.
Trust me. She's gonna
Sonic
be in
3.
this
Where's
movie
where's the
as
trailer?
Maria. We wonder. I mean, hey, they're gonna take their time. But back to
We'll be
Layla
back.
Brown. She was also good in this film
She
as well.
she was great, and I heard like they did some kind of usage of AI. Where they kind of mixed her face with Anya Taylor-Joy, and you see people
Oh
get mad
yeah.
about that, but it's like it's not like you're creating something truly with AI. You're kind of just using it as a tool, which isn't bad at all.
It's the
But
same thing with
yeah,
Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny last year with Harrison Ford. Just
that
like
was
that.
that was interesting, and something about that bothered me was like it's still Harrison Ford's old voice on like a young body, but this is Elia Brown's voice and kind of just a mixture. It's not Anya Taylor Joy's whole face; it's just a mix. And she was great. Like her in the beginning, she only has a couple words until she like stops talking a lot. So she really sells a lot of stuff with her movements and all that. And it's kind of like crazy how much that she's in it because she is in it for like almost half the movie, but she really is fantastic here. I really enjoyed her a lot.
It's so the presence of Anya Taylor-Joy won't be till like the second act. So this is like a little partake. I do want to put this out. So it's gonna take a lot for audiences to wait until they get to the part where she's at right now. So that's the kind of setting there is. So you'll get to see Layla Brown as young Furiosa in the beginning, probably the first two chapters, and then third chapter I think gets right to the great stuff there. So I mean that's I can tell you all right now, if you can sit this through the first two acts, you'll get to see the lovely Anya Taylor-Joy at her fine work.
And I think that Elia Brown has a really great future ahead of her after this movie. This is a huge movie for her to be in. So very happy for her performance in here.
For sure. Let's go to Chris Hemsworth. I seen tweets, and I know tweets aren't ticks, but
Hmm.
you know what the BO boy said. But people are saying that they should consider him as an Oscar supporting role. And I wasn't sure because I don't see as an Oscar worthy. I'm not trying to like debunk anyone, but
Yeah.
I mean, Chris Hemsworth does it all. He literally takes it all in, from doing Thor to playing a crazy villain, and he just brings in all the fun. It reminds me of how much enjoyment he does with Thor. He does the same thing, the same energy as Dementis. Does a great he steals him in this movie for sure. I gotta say, as villains, I love watching villains so much. This is where it comes added to the energy. I love seeing that kind of stuff too, like seeing villains do that. And Chris Hemsworth just brings the fun out of his energy for sure.
Yeah, I do agree. The thing about the Oscar nomination kind of thing, I probably don't see that because if we're gonna compare like two performances this year, you can compare like Austin Butler's Fade Ralph performance. I'd rather see that nominated because that
Yeah,
is a
me
little
too.
bit more serious. And the thing about Chris Hemsworth, he, as you said, he's Thor and all that, and he was in the Extraction movies. The last two movies he's been in were basically the Extraction 2 and Thor: Love and Thunder, which this is basically a huge bounce back for him after Thor: Love and Thunder because they made him just way too silly in that movie, as we all can agree. This is a silly performance, but also a menacing performance because you see him on screen and what he does to people is really menacing, but he just has this, he had just like Joker kind of maniac feel to him where you're scared of him, but you really like him at the same time and like his comedy, kind of like his shtick that he goes through. And there's a lot of weird scenes that he has with him and weird moments that happen to his body, especially in one scene. But I thought he was just fantastic, easily one of the most best characters in the Mad Max franchise. Villain wise, he just has so many great one liners, especially from the trailer. He's like, "Do you have it in you to make it epic?" I'm not even going to try to do his
Oh
voice
yeah.
because he went over the top on his Australian accent, and he already hasn't like he's already like Australian, and he literally went over the top on it, which I think added even more to his fantastic performance.
I totally agree. It was amazing. I liked enjoying these presence of villains, but for sure he brings a one hell of a silly, credible performance as the villain of Cementus, and I gotta say, truly brings the fun out of the energy of it. So
Hmm.
What else? Oh, the cinematography. I mean, we got to talk about cinematography. I mean,
I gotta just sorry for interrupting you, but I gotta mention Charlie Fraser played Furiosa's mom.
oh
That
yeah,
was
yeah,
also
yeah.
a really great performance. You don't see too much of her, but it's funny because her only two movies are this and Anyone But You from a couple months ago. But yeah,
Oh yeah.
I thought that she was great. Whole cast killed it. Go on.
And the guy named Jack, who is he played by? Because I think he was also
Uh,
good in this movie too.
Jack is played by Tom Burke. I don't know too
Tom
much
Burke.
about him.
Right. Okay.
I
I
don't
don't
know
know
if you
much
know
about
him
him
from
either.
anything, but and I
No,
know
no.
that they switched the actors for Morton Joe because sadly the guy who played him in Fury Road passed away. But I don't know who plays him. But I also thought that seeing Morton Joe was pretty cool.
I was gonna say when you look at Tom Burke and Kojima just made a tweet. He's saying about him playing a Solid Snake. I can see that because I think
Oh
he has
really?
the look. He has the look. I mean, if you look at his makeup and like how he is on the picture, I mean,
Yeah, I could see it.
If you follow Hideo Kojima on Twitter, everyone, you'll get to see that pose and you'll know what I mean. But he does look like Snake, and I think
Mhm.
he's a better replacement if Oscar Isaac doesn't show up or whatever doesn't happen. But we'll see what the future holds.
Yeah.
So back to the cinematography, I gotta say, amazing. I never had issues with this, but it's does have some great headlines of these shots and these action sequences and like the desert too. I mean,
Hmm.
one amazing shots of like action to like incredible scenes. I mean, especially the fifth act too. I mean, that cinematography at that was amazing.
Yeah, the way that they have like the lighting and kind of like the green screen effects. I don't know if they use the volume, but I think the looked pretty good in the fifth act. We'll probably get to talk about CGI soon, but I'm agreeing with you. Cinematography was amazing. Probably not better than Fury Road, but some of the like the shots in here just kind of blew my mind. There's a shot from the trailer that's still in the movie. It's when Furiosa kind of like backs into this kind of big gate and they two people shoot flamethrowers
Yes.
at her and you see the flames
Wow.
coming through it. That's one of my favorite shots. Then as you said, the fifth kind of chapter, when she goes full on Furiosa, that's when things just start ramping up. So yeah, cinematography, that's one of my favorite parts. Watching a film and analyzing a film and how every shot looks and how they kind of make every shot look with all the effects. I gotta agree. Cinematography great, not as good as Fury Road, but is that the point? Probably not.
That's right. So we'll get to the visuals and CGI. I mean, I'm those people who never have issues with it, honestly. I think it just turns out fine. I mean, I don't know if it's just me, but it can't be this bad in The Flash if we're talking about CGI visuals. But neither that, I think it just looks fine. I thought they were fun to watch.
Yeah, I think that for me, I don't know. I think I've seen it twice so far, and I think that some moments do feel kind of odd. But I think George Miller was kind of going for that aesthetic style, and some people really won't like it, like the overly polished moments. Some of the compositing was a little off, but at the same time, I've been looking it up, and you got to really think. Fury Road looks so great and has so many practical moments because that movie took forever to film. George Miller said it was very stressful. So many incidents happened on that film, so they probably use more effects on this to make it safer for the crew and have less of a production time, so they could probably film it faster. So you got to take it, well, you got to
I
take all
see.
that. But
I
still,
see.
there's some shots that bothered me, but same time, I think it's the style that he was going for.
So he been using all the shot and everything in Fury Road was so long. Okay, that's
Mm-hmm.
interesting. I didn't know that.
Took him a
So
long
yeah,
time to
I'm
film that.
wow. Okay. Yeah, the CGI visuals for me, I think they're all right. I haven't even like complained about those. I thought they were just okay. So I mean, yeah, this is definitely when I watch Free Road, it's definitely different. And speaking of that, I love to compare a little of this to Fury Road real quick to the entire. So when I got a Furiosa, it felt like I'm probably gonna love Fury Road more because it's probably more fun esque and action esque than anything. I feel like
Yeah,
what Fury Road does is just all about the action than less than just building up the entire world of the wasteland. That's what the film is. So you're going to the if you're watching Fury Road, you're expecting like John Wick action esque and like a bunch of like incredible action stuff that you never seen in like blockbusters like that. And by the way, John Wick 4 is the best action film of all time for sure.
dude,
Um,
same.
I love Fury Road's action sequences way more because it's just more fun and it's entertaining in a way. I think it just the critique part, like I said, it takes away the build up, the open fuck it's off feed, the world build up to this, and you get just characters and actions and like great cinematography. I think that's what you're gonna get most of it in Fury Road. But Furiosa, you get more of the open world, but you get like less much action, but it's still entertaining anyways. I still think in my part, I kind of feel edged on Fury Road more to like it
Mhm.
more. But regardless, Furiosa is just still entertaining. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think that the action, as you said, is clearly better in Fury Road because that movie is a straightforward action movie all throughout. It's literally a chase scene. They're all going in a circle, just chasing the war rig, while Furiosa is more just story, and you're focusing on this girl's life and how she became who she was in Fury Road. And what's interesting about the action in Fury Road is that it all just feels so hyped up, like it's moving so fast because like they sped it up to at some moments while Furiosa takes some very slower, kind of a slower approach to the action. Like you don't really cut away, you don't really keep cutting. You can see Furiosa in some of the action sequence, like run back, run to these locations, and like it's actually kind of slow pace action. But it, as you said, it all pays off in the end as more of a build up. Considered a Fury Road, but yeah, as you said about John Wick 4, my favorite action movie. But I will say Fury Road and that movie kind of fight for the number one spot sometimes.
Yeah, me too. Um, Yeah, that's pretty much what we want to share on Fury Road because I mean I did see it when I got home from watching Furiosa that Thursday night. I saw it Thursday night as well too.
Oh, really?
So yeah,
So you watched Fury Road after Furiosa?
I did on Max. I decided to anyways to get out of the way and just to compare to compare for this on this episode.
So how did the kind of things in the end credits affect you? Like the little bit of like it's kind of like a trailer esque shots
Oh, the
and
Fury. Oh, for Furiosa. Yeah, it
yeah.
kind of gives me the idea. I mean, this is what for those that never seen Fury Road, you'll get to see much of that at the end credits. So, I mean, that's a nice touch up to put just to give a little more what happens later with Furiosa. You know, you'll get to see Charlize Theron though more. So,
And you're like
yeah,
you're like at the end of Furiosa, you're like, just show me the whole movie of Fury Road. Don't show me little clips of it, please.
yeah. Wow, that's something. All right, well, that's been entire thing. I mean, is there anything else you want to share on for Furiosa before we get to another big part of this episode, Josh?
Probably. I will say about Furiosa, I think it got better on second watch for me because in the first watch, I always like try to pay close attention to see how their runtime works. And after the first watch, I didn't even know like I couldn't make up my decision because I thought that it being about 2.5 hours, I thought the first 15, 20 minutes were kind of hard to get into the movie for me because I wasn't like truly understanding what they're going for. But on the second watch, I think it move more fluid for me. So if you don't like the pace on the first watch, maybe give it a second watch. 'Cause I think it gets a lot better for me. But
I
that's
agree.
all I have to see. That's all I
I
have to say.
agree.
I thought it was amazing.
I agree. I'll eventually watch it a second time, if anything, for sure. So, I mean,
Hmm.
still a great movie. I still enjoyed it for sure. Josh and ladies and gentlemen, I'm ready to get down to one of the biggest disastrous news for this film. And goddamn, I just talked about this before we recorded. I am. Oh man, I mean, Josh, do you want to go ahead and read off Box Office Mojo to see what? Now we're doing this on estimates, but I think Garfield's gonna win this weekend, anyways. Unfortunately, I'm
Maybe.
literally had this in the back of my head because I think it's for kids. Every kid's and gonna drag their parents to see a kids movie, and obviously Furious isn't for like families, of course. It's rated R. So, but go ahead, Josh. What's the total for like estimates for today as of Sunday, May 25th? No, yeah, 26. My bad.
So the estimates for Furiosa, so internationally we'll start first. It's about 33 million for the 3 day and probably a couple million for the 4 day. Domestically, it's about 26 million for the 3 day, and I think they're estimating like a 31 to 34 for the 4 day Memorial Day. So right now, 3 day, you're estimated at 58 million, and then if we want to compare it, uh, basically Garfield is kind of opening like 2 million under it for the 3 days. So as you said, you're going to have a fight for that 4 day box office. But Furiosa is at 58 million domestically, 58 million worldwide for the estimated for 3 day weekend so far.
I was gonna say Sundays looks like it says 25. I don't know if I just read it in the back of my head wrong. I just read it off from like Luis Fernando from Twitter X.
Hmm.
I
I just
mean,
rounded up.
Oh, you're on it. Okay. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna look, but so this. Oh, now look. Just to quickly analyze this opening, this is a disaster. This is one of probably the worst Memorial Day weekends ever. And this
Hmm.
film opened less than Fury Road, which made 45 back in 2015. And this
Mm,
wasn't came out on Memorial Day weekend. That's a difference.
yeah.
So it opened 19% less than Fury Road. And I guess it has a lot of reasons to it. And I mean, I don't know what to say. I'm very disappointed. I'm very upset to the general public that aren't buying into this excitement and just not go see Furiosa or a Mad Max film at all. Which, to compare the Fury Road, it's not a bomb. It's just wasn't nearly perfect, but it's still okay-ish, I guess. It did pass over a little the budget, but then it just didn't like break even. I don't know, but
I think Fury Road ended up making a little bit of profit when because of the I heard it was the DB kind of sales, digital sales too, when those were more popular in 2015. So it ended up making probably a little bit over because of that.
okay. But this is one of the biggest disasters right now, and I don't know what to say. I mean, I this is a raw feed. I don't know what to how to like express it, but the general public aren't going to the movies for whatever reason, and I don't know why this is the case. Even Garfield's underperforming, but otherwise, that the budget's lower than Furiosa. Furiosa cost 168 million to make, and the global open, like you said, it made over what 58 million.
Yeah, about 58,
Oh
59
my
for Fury Road. And
god,
Garfield
that's
only had a
oh
budget
my
of 60.
that's wild. I mean, god damn,
It's already
this
at
is
100 million worldwide.
oh jeez. This is like the most silliest, biggest opening weekend of all time right now. And
I
I
got some
mean,
answers for you though.
yeah, so Joshua, why did Furiosa just underperform? I'm running out of ideas. Fuck it. It's a
Well,
raw feed.
you know, I'm sad about it too. Like I'm very angry about it. And one of the biggest reasons, as you said, is the $160 million price tag. I don't know if that's really all spent on the movie, or I don't know how much the actors got paid. Probably a decent amount because Chris Hemsworth is worth a lot of money. So I think that they should maybe prioritize not spending so much money next time. Maybe keep that below like 120 if you can. But at the same time, as we said, this is kind of a prequel, and Mad Max Fury Road, as we said, hardly made profit. And so Mad Max is kind of like a niche franchise, and it doesn't really have the general audience backing it, and more is less like a very online movie, very Twitter friendly movie that everyone gushes over. So a prequel was even a harder sell. But at the same time, as you said, general audiences they kind of suck. So, sorry, but it's ridiculous because you see people on Twitter. I want to get your thoughts on this after. People on Twitter are listing the reasons why people aren't going to theaters, and they list like 15 reasons. But the most the reasons that they list are kind of like price, theater etiquette, and the VOD dates, digital dates coming so fast. And for that, for me kind of like going against that for the prices, as I said, you got AMC A-list, Regal Unlimited. If you have those by you, that's basically those are two are basically are built for like single people or like couples. For families, they should probably add a deal for them to make it easier. And you also got like Tuesdays, you got a deal on that. And people got you complaining about concession prices, they're so high, but at the same time the theater isn't forcing you to buy concessions.
Of
And I will
course.
say theater etiquette, I do agree on that one. That is a big thing that needs to be fixed. I think that's on the theaters themselves. And I think that they shouldn't be afraid to stand up and actually, actually kick these people out, which I think is a huge issue. They're not kicking these people out who are on their phones. I think even me personally, I would love to tell people to get off their phones, but I'm kind of afraid of what they're going to do to me. People these days are kind of crazy, so you don't want to kind of get up and talk to someone during a movie and kind of forcefully tell them. So I think theater etiquette is the biggest thing. The digital dates are also pretty big. Like we used to wait like 6 months for a movie on
Yeah,
digital.
that's exactly why.
Since the Fall
We
Guys
see
already out on digital.
the Fall Guys on digital, and it just made it past its budget. But the breaking point is going to be tougher because of that. And then now we're here right now, and I bet you right now by next month, what if Warner Brothers decides to dump this movie? And I don't think it's a good idea. Just let this movie soak in out of the word of mouth. I think it's just getting okay
Yeah,
reviews. Not okay. I mean, great,
pretty
great,
great.
solid reviews. Pretty great. Not just okay, not decent. It's great. So I was gonna bring up a similar franchise. Now, Mad Max is one of those franchises that doesn't appeal to general audiences widely. And the
Mhm.
kind of franchise that does not appeal the same is Blade Runner. And we've seen Blade Runner 2049 in 2017, and that underperformed. And man, I can tell
Sadly.
you, it's the same kind of franchise I think people are not just buying into. The marketing wasn't just great enough, besides promotional tours. And I could say, I mean, the theater etiquette, like you said, I mean, people are on their phones, the bad experiences around them. I mean, that's probably why. I mean, the summer blockbuster, I guess, is just for theaters right now, isn't look pretty right now. And that's just the worst.
And like as you're saying, like theater etiquette, summer box office, what movie is going to save that? We all know what movie is going to save it, but at the same time, we can't always rely on that one blockbuster. We're lucky we had like Dune cross 700 million worldwide,
Huge.
Godzilla X Kong passed 500 million worldwide, Kung Fu Panda 4 somehow that movie, that kind of piece of crap movie, passed 500 million worldwide. It just sucks. People are only seeing like one movie every 3 months. That's what it's looking like. And I think that Deadpool is going to be your next hit, which
Deadpool
is
is going to be the,
obvious.
it's very obvious. Deadpool is going to be the big hit. I mean, if you've seen pre sales going on, which tickets are now out, they're blowing up.
I still haven't bought mine.
I got one with some friends. Him and I and the boys are going out like to see on Thursday nights. So that's
And
gonna be exciting. I can't wait.
it's going to be crazy to see because once those box office numbers come out, you're going to have those same people be like, "Oh, we're back. The box office is back," and I'm like,
Yeah,
"No,
yeah.
it's not. You got to
It's
wait till
look, you're
2025."
good. Exactly. I mean, and I
The
could say
strikes.
the strike is the reason why 2024 box office isn't good right now because you have some
Mhm.
movies are delayed, and I mean that's just the point go and take. And I knew this wasn't going to be lightly as possible if we're going to this year, and now the summer doesn't look like it's really hot as possible going on. So
I
that's the
do
messed up
agree
part.
about the strikes because we were supposed to have so many more movies this year. Because last year, I think on my 2023 rank last year, I saw like almost over 200 new movies last year. Most of them were like streaming, but a lot were in theaters. Like you had like an insane amount of movies released in theaters last year. You had like one new major movie a week once you hit that March. And then this year, since the strikes, as we said, you got only have like two, maybe three major movies a month. It's not like a one a week. Like next week, this week, when we're recording this, you got no major movies coming out until like Bad Boys 4. And even June, you only have like two major movies that month. It's just the strikes are delaying all the major movies to 2025. People say the box office is over, movie theaters are dying. Just wait till 2025. You got like an Avatar movie, you got How to Train Your Dragon, you got so many great blockbusters coming up next year.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. So I want to get your take on June next month. I mean, I think Inside Out's coming out. Besides Bad Boys, you got the Bike Riders, Kinds of Kindness, but you got the last two movies at the end of June. You got Quiet Place Part Day One. I'm excited for that one, and then you got American Horizon or Horizon. Sorry,
Mm,
that's American Saga. Yeah. Um, I I'm kind of iffy right now for next month. I mean, we got to see the most one I'm very crucial on is Inside Out. We'll have to see
okay.
if this IP sequel is going to be worth seeing because if the Disney Plus factor is going to be the reason why more families aren't showing up, expect that episode, guys, will be a big discussion because
The
I'm not going
thing
to be one bit on this.
The thing is about June is, which is interesting. I want to get your thoughts on it. Well, I'll say my most anticipated movie of June is funny enough not a theaters movie because Netflix had to acquire Hitman, and I don't have Hitman playing anywhere near me. But then probably like Bad
It's
Boys.
playing in my local actually too.
Oh,
I heard
really?
that. Yeah, it
God,
is.
you're so
Last time
lucky.
I checked, it just yeah.
I
Yeah.
wish. But I
I
want to
don't
get your
buy to
thoughts.
Netflix theaters, but yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I want to get your thoughts on. We have a lot of TV coming out in June. We got The Acolyte, House of the Dragon, The Boys, and The Bear. So you have a lot more TV coming out in June. I want to ask you, do you think that's going to make a big impact on the box office? Will more people just stay home and watch those shows? Because you got more big shows coming out than more movies in June. And what do you think about like all those shows coming out in June compared to the
If they're
lower amount of
all
movies?
if they're all just like worth watching on home, and that's what been beginning to people to sit their asses home, I mean, it's gonna probably have a little impact. I mean, like the
House of the
boys, like you
Dragon.
said, the boys, the House of Dragon, the boys. I mean, by the way, Carl Urban's playing Johnny Cage. I'm excited. But Yeah, look, TV stuff's coming out next month. I mean, we don't know what the future holds in this next month, but once we get to July, you have to Despicable Me
July.
4,
Oh
you
my
have
god.
Twisters, Deadpool, and August. August is the wasteland, but I think Borderlands might do
Alien.
well. We'll see. Oh,
I'm waiting
we'll
for
see.
Alien and July is actually
Oh, Alien.
July could be pretty huge for I don't know if you've seen the trailer for Maxine, but that was a huge hype behind it. I don't know if you've seen
Oh
like
yeah.
the X or Pearl movies.
I seen the trailer for Maxine, but yeah, I can tell this
Looks
is
great.
probably the movie people horror fans are waiting for. And this
Twisters.
is Twisters.
Uh,
I can feel
so
a
excited
Top
for it.
Gun esque. I can feel like a Top Gun esque movie in Twisters. I can tell, but you know
Just
what? It's like,
imagine your top 10 is going to be filled with Glenn Powell, Hitman, and Twisters.
oh man, yeah, this is gonna be insane. But Josh, any final thoughts about Furiosa bombing this weekend? I mean, this is already probably declared bomb at this point if it doesn't pick up. But I think it's already been declared considering the global total for the opening weekend. It's just a damn mess. Back to this point, though. I mean, golly, I'm very like I was sick to my stomach. By the time I see numbers from early, I'm like, oh my god, this can't be
Yeah, because
fucking
the
good.
tracking was much higher.
Oh my god, yeah. This was
It's
gonna be performing for your order numbers, which I think would be a win, but now it didn't. Not anymore.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
that it's very disappointing, and we're gonna hope that Warner Bros. Doesn't put on digital in 2 weeks, but they probably will. Like, we're gonna see.
my
You
god.
know, it's kind of about how much that second week drop is because nothing big's coming out next week, so you'll see. But at the same time, it's not gonna make Fury Road numbers, which is sucks. It's probably gonna make under 200 million worldwide. It's very disappointing, but it's not gonna stop me from loving it and endlessly
It's not gonna stop loving
rewatching
me
it.
too, but man, this is gonna be just like a flash thing.
Are we
It
not gonna
made
get that Max Origin movie now?
that's right. I think it's just considerably the idea. Just leave the franchise behind, honestly. I mean, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to like. I was just getting started to love the Mad Max series, and I'm so glad I watched Fury Road on top of
Have you
that, and I
seen
wish I
the
seen that.
original ones?
No, I
Mm.
just care about the modern ones. I mean, that's
Yeah,
my thing. I was born 2000, so I'm like a Gen Z or something.
those original ones aren't that great. I watched them to prepare like a month ago.
Well, they're a
First one's
little
not even
well, they're
really
old.
an
So that's
apocryphal.
probably why the modern technology wasn't there. So that's how it
And
is.
actually, a fun fact about the first one, talking about box office, the first one was made for such a low budget. It was the most successful movie of all time, like profit wise, until the Blair Witch Project movie came out.
Wow,
So it's pretty
I
cool.
see. Pretty cool. I see. Want to get your take before we get off. Bad Boys Ride or Die. I think this is still gonna flop because of this Will Smith
Really.
slap. I still think.
Oh,
I've seen pre-sales right now in my state. I don't think it's been big right now, but we'll see. I don't know. I want to get your take on it.
um, well,
I could be
I
wrong, but you know what? We'll see.
I think that for me personally, on the slap, like it was so huge when it happened, and I was like thinking, I'm not gonna watch this guy's movies anymore. But at the same time, you have so many, it happened on live television, which is one of the biggest things that's making it so big. It happened in the Oscars and all that, but so many other people get away with doing much worse. I've come to forgive Will Smith, and at the same time, if you probably don't forgive Will Smith, just go into the movie. Will Smith is not the character in the movie. Sure, he's playing the guy, and people will be saying, I don't want to give him the money. Actors get paid before the movie comes out, and maybe he's going to get some box office money. He basically got all the money he already
He
got
got what he
promised,
needs. I mean, you
and
can
it's
say the same thing with Ezra with the Flash too.
yeah, he got his money too. And Ezra Miller, a lot of people kind of defend him, but he did. I personally believe
I
Ezra Miller did
forgot
much
about this
worse.
whole thing because I understand it's for a good reason what he's been going through. But Will Smith for like on national television, no, this is not.
Well,
You
Ezra
can't.
Miller, I think did worse in my opinion
He
because
did
he
worse. Yeah, he did
assaulted
worse.
like a
Has no
minor
mental
and
health.
did weird things with a minor. But Bad Boys talking about box office. I believe you're gonna have. I believe this is gonna be a pretty big hit. It's pacing for 50 million right now. Pacing for about a couple weeks away. I think it comes out in like 2 weeks. I don't know if
Yeah,
it's gonna hit that 50 million. I think it will do in the 40s, which I think is gonna be great.
I think it'll
These
do in the
movies aren't made for
30s.
that much.
Honestly, I
30s.
think it's gonna do low 30s. Just me. You
Don't
know.
worry, I'll be there. I'll make it get to 40 for you.
Oh yeah. You keep your bet, I keep mine.
I think it looks
But
good though.
yeah, I do agree. Um, next week there's nothing coming out. If Furiosa can actually hold pretty well, with word of mouth, I think this will do just fine, but we'll have to see next week.
Yeah, next
Just
week
for
you only
that, because there's
got
nothing. And you
you
got
only got
PLS with this movie too, so there's nothing going forward to take it away before Bad Boys take them all over.
Yeah, next week you only got the In a Violent Nature movie, which is a horror movie told in the
Oh yeah,
perspective of a killer, and I think it's called A Young Woman in the Sea, kind of a new biopic with Daisy Ridley. So you don't have a lot, but the Bad Boys week, 2 weeks away, though you got two big movies as we said, Bad Boys, and you got The Watchers, which is a new horror movie. So it's going to have some big competition in 2 weeks, but as you said, next week looking for under a 50% drop, which would be nice.
yeah, at least under 50%. Yeah, you're right. If it could hold under 50% and have good legs next week, we'll see where it goes. All right,
Yeah.
Joshua. As much as the painful disasters of this box office weekend just wasn't what I wanted to talk about, but you know what? I guess I'll take it. Well, as we're about to end this episode off and wrap it up, where can the listeners check you out before we head off?
They can check me out at my YouTube channel, which is Josh Titan, or they can follow me at Twitter, which is Josh Becker 659. But I'm pretty active on YouTube. I upload like 3 times a week. I try to, at least, depending on if there's stuff coming out. Twitter, I'm always posting ridiculous takes, but you can find me on YouTube, Josh Titan.
And that's where you guys can find them on. I will leave both of them in the description of this episode so you guys can check them out. But ladies and gentlemen, Inside Out 2 is my next film coming out. And of course, I'll be bringing someone very new. I'm very excited. I love doing these collab things, It's just like why it makes me just excited. So Inside Out 2 will be coming up on this podcast. I screened, you screened 4, number 4 for a movie. So until then, subscribe to this podcast, whatever you're listening on. If you're just listening to the podcast, you're not getting the story. The YouTube channel will be in the description of the podcast audio because you'll get to see my face, Joshua's face, and
Yes,
can
sir.
you hold that cup that you were just drinking? Because this man's got a Furiosa cup.
Furiosa
And ladies
cup.
and gentlemen, this is where you can probably get them at like your local theaters if they
The
sell
Regal,
them.
I got it at.
Regal, okay, cool.
And
But
I
yeah,
thank
you'll
you.
get
I
to
thank
see.
you for letting me on your show. I'd love to join again if you'd ever have me.
Oh yeah, of course. We'll be discussing this off screen, but it's great to have you, Joshua. So Josh, so awesome. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel for face content. Twitter and TikTok will both be in the show notes. I'll be posting video clips and content and whatnot, so you can check them out over there. And yeah, but ladies and gentlemen, until then, this is Danny Escamlaji signing off of I Screen, You Scream 4, number 4 for movies. Till then, stay screaming for the movies. Adios. Peace.